Welcome to the Whitetail Advantage Podcast with your host, Brett Bovin. Thank you for tuning in and enjoy the show.
What is up, everyone? Welcome to the Whitetail Advantage Podcast. I'm your host, Brett Bovin. Got a question for you, though. Have you ever been wondering what's it take to hunt Pennsylvania? And just like, if I really want to go out to Pennsylvania, what do I need to know? Where do I need to go? Stuff like that. Well, in this episode, we're going to learn all those answers. We're going to learn all the answers to those questions. There we go. That's a better. If this is your first time tuning into the show, thank you for tuning in. This is the show for all hunters and outdoorsmen alike. We get to gather around the electronic campfire, share stories, learn strategies and stuff like that. And each week we do a live show at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time at Tuesday and Thursday. Each week, like I said, we cover a new state. This week it's Pennsylvania. I'm looking forward to getting to our guest tonight. Love talking to him pre-show, so I'm excited about that. Anyways, we all know I don't like doing the intro, so I'm going to leave it short because no one wants to listen to me talk. I'm sure everyone wants to listen to what the guest has to say. But a couple of quick announcements. If you use the code GP10 at Gilly Puck, you can get 10% discount off their products. Make sure to also go check out MAGNUS BROADHEADS and Grizz Media. With that also being said, we also have a saying, put your cord in the slot machine. All we ask is for you to help get us one new friend, help share the show. That's all we ask. I strongly believe hunting is a dying sport. It's a dying lifestyle. So all we ask is just help share the show. A little side note too, the stupid light went out. The battery died. I thought it charged, but apparently it didn't charge. So thank you, technology. Gotta love that shit. Anyways, if you have any questions, comments, or anything like that, feel free to drop them in the comment section and we'll pop them up during the show. The Deucer is not here with us tonight. So it's going to be me doing a whole bunch of things. So bear with me for a little bit. We're going to be doing a call-in line at around 9:30 at the bottom of the hour. So stay tuned around 9:30 if you want to call into the show and talk to us. The number is going to be popped up on the screen. New things are going to be coming for show-wise starting in October. I'll get more into that at a different date maybe, but I don't want to get too much into that because, like I said, no one wants to let me talk. With that being said, let's bring on our guest tonight. I'm excited. He's patiently waiting. So let's bring him on in. What is up, brother?
What's going on, Brett? Appreciate you having me on the podcast this evening.
Thanks, man. I'm excited to pick your brain about what you do in hunting, and I'm anxious to learn what to take to hunt Pennsylvania because if anyone that doesn't know, Michigan had the most hunters per square mile. And then Pennsylvania took that over from us. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing.
I don't know, man. It's crazy though, and I'll tell you what though, like just for the fact that you reached out to me, I don't know if I was like maybe your 100th or 1,000th person on your list to try to get on because man, speaking of from experience, there's just so many amazing hunters coming out of this state, well known, and then there's just even more. I believe probably that no one even has a freaking clue that even exists because of not having social media or not doing anything. So I hope I could represent some of the guys from Pennsylvania in a good light. But again, it's, like I say, even on my podcast, it's what I say is not the end all be all. There's so many different ways you could go about it. And it's about learning and all that type of stuff. So I'm excited to see what we could really get into, man. But as far as hunters go, yeah, it's definitely for numbers wise, it's up there. If you come to the state of Pennsylvania in the month of February and you attend the Pennsylvania Outdoor Show, the NRA show in Harrisburg, obviously not everybody there is a hunter, but man, that show just gets bigger and bigger every single year. And there are thousands upon thousands of individuals that go through that door, go through that farm complex. So yeah, there is definitely a lot of hunters in the state of Pennsylvania.
Well, let's start off here. What do you think it's so special about Pennsylvania? And I'll say this about my first opinion about Pennsylvania. Mm-hmm. You have a lot of property, but you have a lot of woods, like I said, and you have bears. It just seems like you have everything for deer, make them great.
Yeah, there's just so much. I mean, I grew up hunting northeastern Pennsylvania. I still hunt there to this day, majority of my time. I'm located in central PA. When I say central, I'm talking more closer to Penn State University, and not that Harrisburg side, which is not far, but just to kind of clear that up. So growing up in northeastern Pennsylvania, I did mainly hunt more of that rugged mountain terrain. So that's kind of like my love, I guess you could kind of say, is the big woods, hunting that style. Didn't really never had the opportunity to hunt farms or ag land and all that type of stuff, which I know a lot of people do in our state of Pennsylvania, which is awesome as well. So I just think, like you said, there's just so many challenges and unique ways for either whitetail, for bear, for even small game hunting, turkey. It's fascinating to see. So, I mean, I got the turkey bug back in my life again over the last couple of years. I was a varsity baseball coach and coach for baseball for almost a decade. So my time in the spring woods was always very limited, but the last 2 years that I've given that up and moved on from that part of my life, the last 2 years has been a lot of fun chasing turkeys again, because that's been one of my favorite things to do as a young kid with my dad. So yeah, so it does offer so many unique hunting possibilities, and I would say challenges, and that's what really draws me, especially going back home to hunt that mountain.
I think as hunters, you need to, I say this all the time, where you need to challenge yourself. You can't just, all right, I found my comfort zone, I'm just going to stay in there. But that goes with life as well. Yeah. You can't just, you got to explore your uncomfort zone and to expand. That's how you grow. And you can't just be stuck in that bubble. Otherwise, you're not going to mature as a hunter and as a person.
Yeah, I totally agree. And that's the one aspect, I think, being a teacher, I'm a health and phys ed teacher. So I love the fitness side of things. And, if you're challenging yourself to want to get better, right, to live a healthy lifestyle. So that's kind of also where I think that I've always been drawn to that, and playing sports my whole life. So yeah, that personal challenge of wanting to get better. And I think too, there's another side of that, like where you and I were discussing even pre-show, where like right now I got a unique kind of life-changing situation where I have a 10-year-old and I have a 9-month-old. Like that's a huge gap. It's fascinating. I'm dealing with 5th grade problems, and then you're dealing with like the baby's crying and needs her mama, or like, you know what I mean? Just, or my wife needs a break from all three of us basically. And so, at those parts of my life where the hunting situation's coming now, where our season's about to open up statewide here soon, I also want to rely on the, like, not the pure layups basically, but just places that I know have produced maybe in years past for me. So those are the ones where, again, not slam dunks, but they offer maybe a higher percentage chance for a deer encounter or a doe specific hunt, basically, where I could get out in the woods and be up in a tree and just be in that solitude that I thoroughly enjoy.
I did forget to mention PSE Mobile Hunter made a comment. That's because everyone is leaving Michigan to hunt other states. That's referring to our talk about why Pennsylvania is gaining so many hunters. And honestly, here in Michigan, I don't care if people, well, I wouldn't say I don't care, but I want people to come hunt Michigan, because if you looked at our numbers, it's been going rapidly straight down.
Okay.
And I've gone on the topics of why I think the cause is, but I'm not going to go into that. But do I think a lot of things need to change? Yes. But to talk about Pennsylvania here, Pennsylvania is like on my top 10 to go hunt out of state. I will say this though, I'm not going to say exactly where, but I have been invited, hopefully, to go on a once in a lifetime opportunity, thanks to one of the teammates here. I'm not going to say who. He's watching, so I'm going to say thank you to that. And with that also being said, I see another comment here from the Squatch. Breed goes stale when it sits around, and so do we when we become stuck in our old ways of hunting. Oh, bread! I'm an idiot. Bread goes stale when it sits around.
Yeah, man. Well, and like to kind of even go back to like having that drive. Like, I think it's also like that drive that we've had. Like, hunters are unique individuals. You know what I mean? Like we've done something in our past where or even in our current lives, right? Like whether you do something, but it's fascinating to see how many people have that passion of hunting, but there's usually something else that's a huge drive in their lives, and they're good at it, right? And so I agree. I think you do need that passion and that drive to really push yourself to get better, and to kind of go back. And you were saying there's a lot of land. I mean, I looked something up today where I was hoping this conversation could maybe go to, and there's 2 main public pieces that I hunt. And between the 2 pieces, that's 36,000 acres. That's a lot of land. Now, is it, you know what I'm saying? Like, is it easy to get to a good bit of those spots? No, by no means. Right. So like you have that ability to be in remote places. Now, is the deer density amazing in some of those? No, not really. But in certain pockets, yeah, you could definitely find a good bit of deer. So, I mean, I think that's also important to know, like how you were saying, it's a huge state, a lot of hunters, but we have a lot of land that could accommodate that. So, like I said, both chunks are basically just shy of 20,000 acres, and that's pretty remarkable in my opinion.
No, that's amazing. And I want to touch on this topic real quick. You said passion. As hunters, you're right. We have a lot of passion. And I'm just going to share this quick story real quick. A couple years ago, I saw this amazing, beautiful deer. Call him half rack because when I saw him, he had a nice, amazing beam on his right side. I'm like, oh, that's a giant. And he's turned his head. Half of his beam was broken off. Never saw this deer before. He comes up to this one area. I'm like, if you go behind that tree, I'm going to fucking shoot whatever's in this area, because it's like he came near this tree stand, this tree that I wanted to hang my tree in. My dad was like, no, there's a giant limb up there. You could die. I'm like, well, we'll just put it on the other side. Fuck it. If I die, I die. And we're like, no, let's just move it over here. So I'm like, whatever, Dad. All right, we'll go over here. Long story short, that deer comes in. He's like 20 yards from that tree. And I'm pissed because he wouldn't come on the other. He wouldn't take a left or right next to this brush pile. If he did, I would have shot him and killed him. I'm pissed. I'm furious. I'm walking up to the house, and I see my dad, and I'm like, I effing fucking told you we should have put the tree stand there. Otherwise, I'd have meat in the freezer, an amazing buck. And I'm just like, mother effing him the entire time. And he's just like, this and that. The next day, I'm like, oh shit, I'm so sorry. I was a dick, just the biggest dick in the world, saying that shit to my dad. How dare I? And he's like, Brett, I understand. You're like me, very passionate. I accept your apology. And so I was thankful for that. But I was just like, son of a bitch, man.
Dude, that's funny. I mean, yeah, there's just been so many. I mean, it's good and bad. You know what I mean? And I think that's where you could really look at like I don't want to get down into the weeds of things, but like that community based thing. And, I love my friends, and I root for them in all facets of life, not just in the deer woods, but just in their everyday life. And I think we need more of that, especially in this day and age of where we're living. Being a teacher, I see how things could potentially be. There's a lot of good, and there's a lot of like, we need to fix some things. So, how can we continue to right the ship, then kind of, be on the other end?
Yeah. PSC Mobile Hunter, as a hunter, you have to evolve with the environment because it's constantly changing, whether it's hunting pressure or change of habit. That's a good point right there. Mm-hmm. A couple other comments here, and we'll get back to the show. The Squatch, that's true. Adapt and overcome the pressures. If you let the pressure buckle you, you're going to fail. You have to have that high. You have to have mental strength, and if you don't have strong, good high mental strength, you're just going to collapse as a hunter.
Yeah, I agree.
PSC Mobile Hunter, amen, brother Squatch. Squatch takes a limb to the head to get a deer. PSC Mobile Hunter, I can picture it in my head.
That's good.
Jeremy, let's see here. So you hunt a lot of public land then?
Yeah, I would say honestly, Brett, I'm very mixed. There's a good chunk of a public that I do hunt, especially here locally. I would say where I live with my family, it is mainly public. When I do go back northeast, it is private, but it's like one of those old, if there's only 30 members of this club that has just shy of like 2,500 acres, uh, I would say 11 of them actually bow hunt. And, we're all spread out. You kind of have like your region, I guess you could kind of say. And then the other members of the club, when rifle season rolls around, they're out there until 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock till noon. And then they're at the hut, drinking beer and eating food and not out. So it plays into my favor, I guess, right now as an adult. When I was a kid, it was great because it seemed like all those older guys were obviously younger. They were putting on deer drives and having fun with it. And I would see a ton of deer all the time. Now it's a challenge. Like the deer aren't pressured there as much. And there's a lot of room for these deer to roam, and the access to certain locations are not great. So it offers a challenge in its own. It's not just like, again, not a slam dunk, but, kind of something what we were alluding to earlier when we were discussing about where we're at in the stage of this particular season, as far as being prepared, being ready. And, in years past, it'd be like, oh my gosh, October 2nd, for us this year, it's October 5th. I couldn't wait to go home and hunt. Whereas like now I'm like, I'm not going home until the 20th, like, unless there's a perfect weather condition from the 18th on, that's when I plan on going back home to hunt. And now it's like, okay, if the weather is not that great here locally, if that's a day where I can spend time with my girls, so be it. And that's what it is. And kind of make the most out of it that way.
Last year it was on Halloween.
Mm-hmm.
It was very crappy weather leading up to Halloween. And then Halloween came and it was very cold front came through, a very light drizzle of rain, and then mixture of snow. I was like, I got to get out in the woods. There ain't no trick-or-treating. I'm getting out in the woods. My wife takes our kids to the church and they do this little trick-or-treating around to the church. She's sending me photos and I'm like, oh, man, I wish I was there, but it's been great, perfect condition. So ever since that day, I was like, now that I have kids, I'm not going hunting on Halloween unless there's like a guarantee. Well, there's no guarantee in hunting, but if there's like this amazing deer that I'm after, I still can't do it. I gotta go take my kids trick-or-treating. I gotta do that.
Yeah, I agree with you. Yeah, there's been too many times, like, like I said, I'm 37 and my oldest is 10. When somebody said to me this past summer, they're like, oh man, like, dude, you only got like possibly like 8 more summers with her. It's like, what? You know what I mean? Like when you think about that, there's only so many more times where you're going to have those specific moments. And, when you think about it that way, no one's going to give a shit how many deer I've killed or anything. I'd rather have my lasting, message be what kind of a dad, what kind of a friend and, father or husband was I, rather than a deer hunter.
That hit home, man. That hit in the heart. I love my daughter. She's at the fun age where she can talk and she understands things. My son, he's just finally learning like yes and no, don't do that type of thing. So he's still learning. It's still fun to play with. Don't get me wrong, but he's not as fun as yet playing with my daughter because she can understand things. But man, think she's gonna be starting kindergarten here soon, and man, I'm about to start crying now. It's like fuck.
Yeah, dude. It's crazy. It definitely is a weird thing, and like I gave you just a brief rundown of like what my situation was growing up, and I'm very thankful for it just because it made me of the person who I am today. But it also pushed me to to be there and be present and all that type of stuff. And it's, I could honestly say maybe 4 or 5 years ago, how obsessive I got with this whole endeavor. And it's kind of like, it's been nice the last 2 years where I've been able to take a step back and I feel like I'm back to being me again. And just, it is what it is, brother.
Yeah. PSC Mobile Hunter, I see your questions right there in the comment section. I want to get back to them because we're in a good point right now for this question or two is how do you handle the emotional aspects about hunting? And then how do you handle the emotional ride about taking the life of a deer?
Mm-hmm. So honestly, I growing up, I've been hunting since I was 12, and I was that you know young individual where we had to wait until we were 12 to go with our whoever who was taking us. Nowadays, the mentor program, like I could buy one for my daughter and she has her own license, her own tags, whereas that wasn't there for me. I had to wait to take the test. Like I couldn't wait to turn 12 because of that. Like it wasn't to hurry up, be 12 because you're the oldest in Little League now and you could probably, hit home runs and throw the hardest and all that type of stuff. It was, I could finally take my hunting license. And so seeing that and being there, I kind of grew up with it my whole life. So my dad always instilled that like you are going to take a deer's, life, and you make sure that, you do it in the most humane way and you practice a lot. You just don't shoot the day before or whatever it be. And that's, again, I think having that upbringing of playing sports really helped me in that side of things of, I don't let things really try to put a lot of pressure or bother me in certain situations. I need to do better for the ones that do, I guess, bother me. But, as far as that goes with the whitetail, man, you get emotional of excitement at first. And then it's just that kind of like, I kind of look at it like, okay, I'm doing something to provide for my family. Prior to the baby that my wife recently had last December, she consumed the venison. My daughter that's 10 consumes the venison. So, I mean, we obviously still go to the grocery store, all that type of stuff. So it's not the end all be all, but at the same time, it's, I make sure that, even right now, if I still have a little bit that's in the freezer and it might have a little bit of freezer burnt on it, like I'm thawing it out and that's what my dog will eat. Like I'm happy to do that for him just because, he's not just eating kibble basically or whatever like that. So every part of that whitetail will be consumed and, I don't want to say honored, but like, you know what I'm saying? Like really taking the care of that whitetail because it does mean something to me. And it's not just going out there and killing, when I was younger. Yeah. That's what I thought about. I was like, I want to go kill a deer just because I saw my dad and the guys on TV do it and all that type of stuff. Whereas now it is a little bit different.
No, I agree with you. Yeah. As a kid growing up as a kid, I was like, yeah, I just want to kill a deer. I put my tag on a deer. Yeah. I feel like one of them now. And I'd eat the meat, don't get me wrong, but now I'm more like, I'm going to eat all of the meat I can. I don't care. Exactly. My wife will cook up the entire venison of the back strap and we'll wrap some bacon around it. It's delicious. Honestly, on a normal day, I can eat like 3 pounds of it by myself and I'm not even full. But there's times where it's like, I feel like I'm cramming more bites in. It's like, she's like, why are you doing that? You're full. I'm like, I'm eating a deer that I killed and it died. Yeah. I can't just like, throw it in the trash. And don't get me wrong, if I would never do that. I'd give it to my dog or something like that. But if it's fresh right there in front of me and there's more left on the grill, I'm eating the rest of it, man. If no one else is eating it, I'm going to eat it.
Yeah, I'm with you.
I don't like food going to waste, but especially venison that I killed or someone else killed and they gave it to me. I got to honor it. That's one way I can honor that deer.
Yeah. This past year I did. So this past hunting season in the 23 year, I killed 5 deer, in 2.5 weeks here in PA. And it was a lot. Like, I was like, dang, like I donated 1 and then the other 4, I like got I got all my tenderloins, all that stuff, like taken care of. And then 1, I was like, I want jerky. I want these types of cuts. I want this, like summer sausage, blah, 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 like sticks, all that type of stuff, just because I knew how my wife was like, I'm not going to eat as much as I normally used to. And I was like, okay, like I'll do a little bit more ground then with this deer. So I was really being picky with how I was really cutting, each one of those up. And like I said, I was able to donate 1 to the hunting program that the Hunters for Hunger program here in the state of PA. So that was, I felt really good about doing that as well. And it allowed me to, my wife was like, well, why are you going out tonight? You have all, I was like, because I want to donate this one. Like, I want to be able to give to a family that it needs this right now. And she was like, wow, I didn't even think of that. Like, that's all on board. So, there we go. That's just something that also like that I'm hoping that I could do somewhat again this year, but we'll see what happens.
The Squatch, you'll never have venison get recalled like store-bought meat.
Exactly.
That's not the truth right there. Back to PSC Mobile Hunter here. He made a question. So does your wife hunt as well? And how is hunting public there during bow and rifle? Here, gun season is like World War II. And for anyone wondering, he lives here in Michigan.
Yeah, I would say rifle here is obviously very crowded. I always like to tell the ones, and to answer the first question, no, my wife does not hunt. She's shown interest in, she likes shooting guns, which is awesome. Like if we go to a range or something like that, like she's all about that. She doesn't have an issue with, like what we just talked about of maybe harvesting a deer or anything like that. She doesn't have any issue with that. It's just, what she really, especially now with the baby, like she's not doing that. So maybe one day, which would be really cool. It definitely would be during rifle season with a nice warm blind for sure. Somewhere maybe on private, I could see that happening. That makes me kind of giggle imagining that one. But as far as how much goes as far as hunters when rifle compared to bow, definitely during rifle. The one story I always, like I was mentioning just before, that I like to tell is growing up hunting that mountain my whole life, especially during rifle season. I hunted public here, and at the time I already killed my buck and I had a doe under me, and you had to wait at this point in time for the extra week to kill a doe, basically. It was only buck only that first week here in PA during this time. So I was like, basically I was out there just helping buddies after a certain time where we were maybe going to do some drives, push, if someone killed one, maybe help carry and clean and all that good stuff, just to be part of that camp feel. And I remember as soon as we started walking, and I was like, there's orange. And then it's like 40, like up in a tree, like not just standing on the ground, like, or semi on the ground type of where someone's only up a stick and a high. I'm like, there's another one. Like, you guys could literally shoot each other easily within 100 yards if a deer's running between you. So, like, it just blew my mind. And it was honestly, Brett, it was actually scary. Like that was the first time I've actually felt scared, like in the woods, just because I was like, I hope nothing comes ripping past, just because we would be like in the middle of it. It was just very strange. And so since then, I try very hard to fill a PA buck tag before rifle season begins, just because it gets really dicey for sure.
Yeah, that's just, I have no comment to that really. That's just sketchy. And
dude, it's very strange, man. Like I don't know, like this past season, it was one of the days, we didn't have that great of weather, and I wanted to go retrieve a camera. I should have gone out, and I was like, you know what? I have one more doe tag in my pocket. I'll take the gun out with me. I'll go walk, and I would just go retrieve this camera. And if I see something, like, great. And as I'm walking, it wasn't as bad as that story I told, because there was more hunters that day, like within this little kind of circumference, basically, you would say. But it was just like funny where I was walking through, and I'm just like, why would someone stand here and like post, like, why are you posted up here if there's no drivers? Like, I don't know. It's just kind of weird. And like, as I'm like, even though I'm wearing blaze orange and they're wearing blaze orange, I still am like, get me out of here. Just get me out of here.
Well, everyone, reached the bottom of the hour here. If you feel like calling into the show, the number's up on the screen. Feel free to call in and talk to myself and Jeremy. There's a question here, it looks like, from the Squatch. Hi, Jeremy. Question: do you enjoy mentoring and teaching someone new into the outdoors?
Yeah, that's a wonderful question. I really like that one. And I do. I thoroughly do, especially I get a chance in my day job during certain times of the year, especially when it gets ugly out, which will be coming up here soon, like with the weather, where we'll be basically being indoors. We get a chance to still have an archery program, which I absolutely love. And so I get a chance to nerd out. So that's like kind of my introduction just to my classroom community, because it's at the high school. So they're older kids. They're, and then they're like, wow, this is like what you do. And I'm like, yeah. And they're like, well, do you hunt? And I say, yeah. And then, I tell them fun stories and everything along those lines. But then like you have a chance to really maybe have someone that it's a family member or a friend, and their family member wants to get into it, and you teach them a little bit more about it. That's been a really cool thing for me. I mean, I need to do a better job, I think, with it. But like even one of my colleagues, like her husband, he loves guns. He loves shooting. He's gotten into hunting, like got him some camo gear and all that type of stuff of like what to look for, some companies. And he goes out hunting and he's sending me pictures. He's like, oh dude, I saw one and I missed or whatever it be. And I told him, I'm like, man, we need to get together and I want to take him out and all that type of stuff. So like, that's a goal of mine for sure this year, just because I think it's important, and it just, it builds that camaraderie. And like I was saying, like that network, just that camaraderie of friendships and what we're doing, what we want to try to accomplish. Like I said, about coming together more so than try to rip each other apart about certain things. And I think it is really important. And again, being an educator, I love teaching. So I think that's a piece of it that I really would like to do a better job at, for sure.
Yeah. We all know my stance when it comes to trying to bring people out here, and why I'm just gonna leave it at that. Anyways, my good buddy Dan, he's a part of the team here, but he's been busy for a while now. Anyways, I should say this: everyone should try and find their fishing buddy that has never tried hunting, and trying to convince them to get into hunting. Because Dan, he was a huge fisherman, never had anybody really to teach him about hunting. So Dan, I'll teach you anything you need to know. I don't know everything, but I'll teach you everything that I know. And eventually I got him to do it, and he started hunting last year. I was able to teach him and get him on a piece of my property, and he loves it. He got his bow. He's like, oh dude, this is 10 times better than fishing. And if I need anything fishing question related, he's my guy. He's my fishing guru type guy. And he goes, no, you don't want that. You want to go with this or this and that. And, so I mentor him in hunting. He mentors me in fishing, but he's got that bug. And I told him, like, you think all the money you spend in fishing gear is high? Just wait till you buy one thing in hunting. When it comes to archery, you're gonna lose your fucking mind, man.
Yeah,
especially when you get out in the woods. And the stories he's been hearing, I've been out there trying to teach him everything I know and help him out and stuff like that. And listen to his first story. I want him to share it, but I'll say this. He found the tree that he wanted all by himself. He hung the stand all by himself. He shot a deer all by himself. He tracked the deer all by himself, gutted the deer all by himself with no experience, nothing.
Wow.
And this was like a forker, like a 4-point forker type deer that he got. So nothing big, if you want to say that. But when he told me that story and he got to share that with his kids and his wife, I was like, dude, that's what's hunting about. And he goes, ever since like that moment, I've been addicted to hunting, Brett. Yeah. And thank you for so much for getting me into it. I'm like, told you, man, it's not just about out there sitting in a tree stand and shooting a deer. It's everything after the fact and then goes into the fact of hunting.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And
yeah, it's exactly. I mean, I think back to when I was a 13-year-old boy in the back of my dad's house with my bow, finally being able to have the legal limit poundage that you need. And I remember drawing back and at this whitetail doe, and I just remember being so nervous, and I shot, and it like skipped on her like off the ground, and she like just took a jump, and she like turned the other way and just kept feeding, like didn't go off a little bit further. Like she stayed the same distance. And I grabbed another arrow, I knocked it. And at this point in time, the adrenaline dump is in full swing, and my legs are shaking so bad. Like if you think of a cartoon where your legs are going like this, that's exactly what my legs felt like we're doing. And I drew back. I made surprisingly out of to this day, I don't know how I made the shot I made, but I made a good shot on her, and she went not even 50, 60 yards. And I remember being in the stand, hearing her crash, just screaming in the tree for my dad, be like, Dad, like just screaming at the top of my lungs. Finally, he steps out and he's like, did you get one? I said, yeah. So he got changed real quick, comes out, and I get down from the stand, because he put me up in like a ladder stand. I get down and we go and retrieve the doe, and I won't ever forget that feeling. Just how he and I were together. And I fast forward to 20 years later again, and when I had an opportunity to be with him up on the mountain, and I killed my buck at the time. I think it was the 19 season, and he and I go up, walking up to this whitetail and this buck, and just the excitement of he and I just hugging each other and all that type of stuff. Like, that's like a feeling I chase. You know what I'm saying? Like of just that feeling of togetherness, and just that I don't know. It's just, words can't even I can't put it into words of what that's like, but it's something that I hope to experience every year, just because it's always just something that I'll never forget that I have when I was younger. And it's the feeling I chase every year. And it's when he kills a buck, when he has that opportunity, it's that same thing. I remember he missed one a couple years ago. It would have been his biggest buck to date, and he gave it a little belly haircut. But man, I was at the bottom of that mountain, and I think within 10 minutes I was at the top where he was, just because I was like full-fledged sprinting. And he's like, how'd you get up here so fast? And it was like that adrenaline, just knowing that he didn't know what he did, if he did hit, and I wanted to help him before it was too late, type of ordeal. And it's just something that I try to chase, that feeling to be with him and share that experience with him.
It's amazing how you get excited about shooting your deer, but seeing a loved one get more excited than what you are about the deer that you shot, and to be able to try and share that experience with them. Yeah. I mean, when I shot my deer a couple years ago, my dad was like, I'm like, yeah. My dad's like, oh, fuck yeah. But it's just, that's why, and that's probably why I love hunting. And you just had an amazing story with that too. Mm-hmm. And I think people don't see that as often.
Right.
And that part needs to be, the light needs to be shined on that point of it more.
Yeah, I agree. I 100% agree.
Let's, so Jeremy, you live in Pennsylvania, right?
Yep.
You do? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. You sure?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. The great state of PA.
I guess you could call it that. Apparently there's like 30% of us aren't registered to vote right now. I don't know. Who the hell knows? I don't know.
Yeah.
I had to throw that in
there. Nice plug a little bit.
Yeah. Go register to vote.
What was it? I think it was Ted Nugent. Back when Donald Trump was trying to, his first election, or when he lost to Biden, about how many hunters weren't registered to vote. And he said if all those hunters that weren't registered to vote voted for Trump, he would have won. So I think it was with Biden then.
Okay.
Anyways, we're going off. Yeah, but
yeah. We don't want to go I get down that deep end.
Yeah, that's a rabbit hole. Everyone knows. Don't get me started. Let's talk about Pennsylvania. Let's start off. What's the terrain like? Because when I think of Pennsylvania, I think it's very mountain-like.
Yeah, you're definitely hitting the nail on the head. I would say more mountain terrain. You got the Appalachian mountain. You got dense wooded, like hardwood forests, steep hillsides, rocky. You know what I mean? You got streams too, depending on where you're at, and ridges and valleys. So it offers a wide variety of experience and challenges, really. So that's I would say, I don't want to say bread and butter, but that's where I cut my teeth mainly. Again, like on that flat side of things, like hunting Ohio for the first time this past year for whitetail, man, I was a fish out of water. Just I mean, there's some similarities to certain things, but it was in smaller chunks, right? And it was like little pockets. Where here in PA, I'm like, give me that mountain. Let me find those travel corridors. Like, let me look at these, like the ridge systems and like all that type of stuff. That's where I could really, I feel like, do better. If you just plot me somewhere, that's where I'm going to gravitate, no doubt about it. So yeah, I would definitely say more hardwoods and just that ridge systems that just are mountains after mountains after mountains, it seems like.
Now, the mountain's going to be a lot different compared to Idaho type mountains.
Yeah, I mean, off the top of my head, I forget what. And it's actually not very far from me. It's going to be near Elk County, where like the highest elevation point is. But I mean, you're still getting don't butcher me, don't kill me. I think it's like 4,000 foot elevation up at that point. But yeah, I mean, you could get up into some real thick stuff, man. Like I mean, honestly, I don't really know like the best way to categorize it other than saying that it's going to test you. It's not for the faint of heart in certain locations. But I mean, the one aspect that I find very challenging is sometimes is like how rocky it could really be. A buddy of mine, Phil, he calls it shit rock. Just because you get there and you're like, oh shit, you just know, like one step you could just kill break your ankle, like no doubt about it. And that is the absolute worst.
Oh my gosh. Obviously I have a lot more questions here with Pennsylvania, but let me stick with this question here first. If someone was to come hunt Pennsylvania, because I know for me, it's on my list to come do it shortly.
Mm-hmm.
What do I need to start to do or to train, prepare myself just on the terrain itself and to start scouting and like trying to think of like, where would I need to put a tree stand based off the terrain itself?
Yeah. Honestly, I would, to kind of like for training purposes, I mean, honestly, if you're knowing that depending on this type of hunt you're going to do, like if you're coming archery season and you're going to be more mobile and you might bounce around to certain things, like just being comfortable with that weight on your back. And even during rifle season, just knowing like you're going to walk more. I think that's the one piece that I have buddies that come from New York. They hunt a little more upstate PA, and it's the same thing up there. It's big woods. I mean, you're in almost an elk country, and that's why they live there. And you drive through that area, and you're like, yeah, I could see why elk live up this way, nowhere else in this state. And but I mean, you're going to be walking, you're going to be hiking a lot. So as long as you're in that shape, you should be be good. As far as like the scouting goes, I mean, honestly, you look at the number one app that I like to really use, it's a shameless plug, is going to be Spartan Forge, just because you have the ability to do the 10 feet contour lines. So like a bench to me really stands out. So, if you're coming in during the end of October, looking more closer to that rut style, you're going to find that bench, a travel spot where deer are going to travel, scent check and all that type of stuff. That's where I would kind of like look at it and really try to make a game plan. I'm big on trying to, what's the predominant wind doing, and finding those, leeward ridges and where bucks are bedding and, all that type of stuff. So that's where I would kind of start and make a game plan from there. And if you are meeting up with people per se that hunts certain locations and having experience in those spots, and what do you think of this type of terrain? The other aspect too that I look at, especially in the big woods, is like if you're not getting in boots on the ground and you're solely looking at a map, I love finding those like where the vegetation is just completely different. And if you have like 4 different things coming all within like a small radius, like that's where I will for sure want to go and get boots on the ground. Even if I'm going there scouting, I would try to get there, kind of speed scout it, see if there's things that I like and, want to throw a sit on it or at it basically. So those are my top things that I would do if I were you, or what I would do even going into a state like New York or going into a state like Maryland, where there is some pieces on the western side that, you know, kind of could resemble what PA kind of has to offer a little bit.
You mentioned Maryland. I talked to Edgar from Maryland, great guy. I haven't talked to him in a while, so I got to reach out to him. Anyways, that's a sleeper state. Just to stay on that state real quick for a second. Everyone's going out east. I mean, out west. My fucking ass going out to Maryland. After talking to him, what, like, and I even asked him, like, why is Maryland, like, really considered, in my opinion, the number one sleeper state? No one talks about it. It's not on the news or like magazines, or it's not blown up on social media. And he said it's right there. Maryland doesn't get blown up on social media.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like, thank you. I guess let's like not say anything anymore about Maryland, but
yeah, exactly. There was one state that I've hunted before, and when I was starting to talk about it a little bit, people were messaging me, they're like, quit talking about it. Quit talking about it. I was like, okay. I was like, I got you. Right. It's nearby. It's nearby that. That's all I'll say.
Maryland sucks. I'm not going to Maryland.
It's hot. Go there early season, man. It's 90 plus degrees. Like last year I hunted it that opening weekend. It was 98 degrees, and I'm up in a tree, and I'm like, what in the heck am I doing?
I'm a ginger. I don't do heat. Can't do it. Yeah. No. Even when I'm outside, and it's like, I can't go outside when it's like 9 degrees. If I'm outside, I have to have like a portable fan right next to me, and I'm like, oh, it feels so good. Mm-hmm. It still sucks, but I'll take it.
I'm with you.
What's this hunting seasons like in PA?
Yeah, so I mean, so we're coming up to them right now. So you're going to have, right off the rip, you're going to have archery season. That's it right now, actually. So we're sitting here September 24th. You have 2 units. So you have like closer to Philly, closer to Pittsburgh areas that are opened up just because of the deer population. And those 2 units actually will stay open longer compared to the rest of the states as well. So they get a 2-week jump, which is kind of cool because that gives these guys opportunities. If you live in that area and you're keeping tabs on a buck, maybe, late summer or from previous history, like you might have those opportunities on a deer like that, which is kind of cool. And then for us statewide this year, it's October 5th, and we'll run that and through obviously middle November. And during that time frame, you're going to have a special firearms season where you could have a youth and a senior hunt where they could use a rifle, I believe. And then also during that time frame, you could have a muzzle loader season. And then obviously small game comes into play. So pressure could change a lot of bit. Like you could be sitting there right now if you have cameras out, excuse me, and you're like, man, come opening day. Like it could happen. And then like next thing you know, you got all these small game hunters and just everybody else going in there. And it's just totally, could destroy your hopes and dreams basically. But then you have bear season. Bear season, I believe, opens up October 16th, I believe. And that runs, or 19th, one of those 2. And it runs until November, early November. And that's with the bow archery. That's a goal of mine that I would love to accomplish one day. And then we get a week off at the middle of November and then that weekend is bear season with the firearm. And then from there, the next weekend you have opening day of rifle season. But I do want to mention this. So this year, because of the increase we've had in antlerless doe tags across the board, like for my unit alone that I live in, we are up to 77,000 doe tags, which are all sold out, mind you. Yeah, 77,000 just in my unit where I live. That was an increase. We are I think one of 4, I believe, one of 4 units come January that from January 2nd until January 20th, we could go back out with the regular firearm, meaning a rifle. During that time frame, there's unit 4D, which is where I live, 5A and 4A. I don't know how I feel about that, man. Like I'm all about I get it. You know, you want to get some numbers down and all that type of stuff. I'm assuming, but man, that point in time of the year, just knowing just in years past what kind of stress the deer have gone through that point in time, just to add that to the mix now. Ooh, I don't know how I feel about it. I mean, you're talking the timber's wide open. It's white. There's could be snow, and I could see just out of the woodwards.
That Squatch and PSC Mobile, I see you guys' questions here. I'll get them here in a second. 77,000.
Yeah, just in my unit alone, like just my unit alone. I mean, I think this year was 1.1 something million doe tags the Game Commission gave out.
What? Because I know here in Michigan the doe population's high, and I think a lot of the problem is it's social media driven, especially with the hunters that out there now.
Yeah,
where they're trying to get those bucks, and they're like, "Well, I need to get a buck to solidify myself as a true hunter online." But so no one's really hunting the does, and that's why towards like the end of the season, towards around December 10th or 12th or something like that,
right?
You can buy like 20 doe tags for like $10-$20, something like that. I can't remember exactly, but it's just insane.
Yeah,
and to go back out there with a rifle, I think once rifle season's done, you can't go back out there. You should be. It's only with a bow.
So like we originally always had the day after Christmas until, you know, statewide, the day after Christmas until a point in January where it was archery and flintlock, like it's the old school flintlock, and then that would be like those two units that I mentioned earlier that are open in Philly and Pittsburgh area. They would go basically to the end of January. Or that's still happening, but those three units that I mentioned earlier, from January 2 till the 20th, you have the ability to use the regular firearm.
Gosh,
yeah.
Outdoors and more with the Squatch. Jeremy, do you run cellular mobile cameras in those mountains to give you intel? When I go back home to hunt, yes, I do have, I personally have two up. My dad just put my second one up. My dad runs a couple. And the reason why I like running those is just being a couple of, you know, hours away. Like that's still a 2.5 drive for me from where I live. So that's definitely for sure. I like to have that. And it's not to say like, oh, it's heating up, I'm going in, because by that point in time, it's too late. From my experience, the reason why I like running that cell is just to keep tabs on it, mainly just from where I'm at, but also, I mean, if I would have just swapped them to SD cards, I would be okay with that as well. Just because, like I said, if I get a buck on camera, I've been burned years ago where it's like, oh, he showed up, I'm going to go hunt it. And it's like, nothing really happens. You know what I mean? Or I'm in, you know, like I said, I'm usually a day late. What I like, honestly, to do it with is like, if it solidifies and it's easier for me to go back into the app and look like, oh yeah, this time frame in October was really good. Like, look how many doe I've gotten on camera. Like, now I know maybe this year that's where I'll put my eggs in that basket. And then here locally, I have one cell camera out and the rest are all SD cards. And my philosophy with that is just future intel, the best that I can, just because, again, I'm trying to, like, hunting this year's information was based off of the previous two. You know what I mean? So like next year's hunting season will be based off of like this year and last year, basically, that I've got together. So that's the way I kind of work my trail cameras. And I also want to go back to, I apologize if I said million, I meant 77,000 tags, not million. So I apologize if I did say million. Oh, okay.
Yeah. We gave out 1.1 something million, and my unit alone gave out 77,000 tags. There we go. Fix that.
Oh,
yeah, don't butcher me on that one, guys. I'm sorry.
How dare you, Jeremy? Get your wording correctly.
Yeah.
Great.
Listen, I married an English. I Yeah, I married an English teacher. That's I always bust my, because the kids, I'm like, listen, I'm a health and phys ed teacher. Like, I married an English teacher on purpose. Like, she makes me speak right. I still can't speak. So yeah.
PSC Mobile Hunter, you guys have 1 or 2 bear seasons in Pennsylvania. We have 2.
Yeah, so we have a unique one. So we have, let me just kind of go off of this. We have a firearms season, right? So that's like a statewide, November 23rd through the 26th. One bear, basically you could take one bear with your license that you get. And then you have an extended firearms season, which is only a few units. So that's like November 30th, which is a Sunday, December 1 through the 7th. And then there's another couple units where it's the same dates, but instead of December 1 through the 7th, it's an additional week through the 14th. So that's firearm season. Then you have black bear muzzleloader season, which is statewide, October 24th, 25th, 26th. And then you have special firearms, which is, again, only for junior and senior license holders. So those individuals could use a regular rifle. And then to wrap it up, you have the archery season. So that one is actually in season right now in 3 units from this September 21st through the 17th, actually through the 23rd. Pretty crazy of November. That goes long. And then you have majority of the units where I hunt mainly October 19th. So it was the 19th through November 9. So technically you're going off of like 4 different seasons for bear, and you got to make sure you're in the right unit. Certain units here in the state of Pennsylvania are much more populated than others. So yeah, it's unique, man. Every time I've ever gotten my bear tag, I would say the last decade, I always see them when I cannot, when they're not in season. And then when they are in season, I never see them.
I would love to hunt black bear here in the state of Michigan, but something about black bear in Pennsylvania, it's like, I feel like that's got to be my first, but the nostalgic part of it all, it's my home state. I got black bears basically in my backyard. I want to do that, but I don't know what it is about Pennsylvania that's been driving me for a long time to hunt there and do that first.
Right. Yeah, black bears, man, are so super cool. Like, I've been in the timber where you're just like, whoa, where'd you come from? Like, silent as silent can be. And then other times they sound like a freight train's coming through, knocking down trees and bushes. It's just like, what in the heck is going on? Like, one's coming. And then, like I said, other times they're so dead silent. You're just like, whoa, like, where'd you come from? It's bizarre. They're a very unique creature. They really intrigue me for sure.
The ghosts of the woods.
It's nuts, man. And then like you just see like rocks that they could flip over just looking for you're just like, oh my, like what the heck? Like some of the men are just very impressive.
I saw this black bear video where this guy was getting attacked and he pushed off the side of this mountain. I swear he killed it. Next thing you know, it's still running up trying to kill him. I'm like, the bear's still alive?
Yeah, they're tough,
man.
They are tough. They are tough. Yeah, so here real quick, so 1.5 million deer, 30 deer per square mile. And last year, according to the NDA harvest report, 3.7 bucks were harvested per square mile in the state of PA.
Really?
Mm-hmm. I don't know the age bracket those fall under. Probably, I'm assuming 1.5 to whatever. But 3.7 buck harvested per square mile.
Jeez,
that's pretty good.
That's freaking outstanding.
I think that was number 1. If I'm looking at this correctly. Yeah.
Wow, that's a good success rate.
Mm-hmm.
Vital grounds here. I mean, a question. 77 million. That's crazy. Jeremy, we fixed that part of it, but
thanks, Mike.
My question is, what is the overall success rate hypothetically? And I guess we just answered that question.
Yeah, for bucks. I forget too. Like there was the Let me look that up though, because that was like, it was early on in that report where it showed that. Here we go. Bam. Here it is here. So looking at it, so you have the state of Pennsylvania antlered buck harvest, Michigan beating the state of Pennsylvania, Michigan with 203,744, and Pennsylvania with 164,190. So, wow. Yeah. Yeah. That's the top states report there. Looking at the state, so they don't have last year's information just yet on that. So that must have been like 22, I'm assuming. So I would love to see what 23 has in store. So for 22, let's look at 3.5 years and older age class. The state of Pennsylvania information's not there. For Michigan, not there either. Dang. I wonder when the new one will be out. Probably at the end of this year.
Probably, yeah. I remember looking at that and I was like, damn, that's a lot of deer taken.
Yeah. Let's see. Total deer harvested in PA. Hunters harvested an estimate of 430,010 whitetail deer. The statewide buck harvest was estimated at 171,000, while the antlerless harvest was estimated at 258,410. So that was for the 23-24 season. So 430,000. Let's round it. 430,000 whitetail deer in total. In PA.
Is it just because there's obviously a lot of does then to be taken out? And
yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. I mean, you're shy of 100,000 more does taken, but I mean that's a lot of deer.
Yeah. Oh, holy crap.
Yeah.
Question here from PSC Mobile: does rifle season fall during the rut like there, like here?
Yeah. So I would say so. When you look at our season here this year, it's where is it? I just looked at it. We're November 30th through December 14th. I mean, I would say it's like that second rut. It's not peak rut for us. I mean, there's been plenty of times growing up and even within the last couple of years where, you have that kind of post rut activity. I would call it mainly, but I would say like our peak rut is, I would honestly, I've had better days sitting in the woods at the end of October than I have had in early November the last couple of seasons, especially back at home in Northeast PA. I don't know if it's whatever it is, but I mean, man, you're talking a day before Halloween, and then like cameras go or time put on stand have been quiet, and then like November 7th hits, like 6th, 7th hits, and then all of a sudden it's bonkers again. But then for this year, our Thanksgiving's late, so it's always been that weekend of after Thanksgiving. So that's why it's usually not that late as far as the 30th is concerned. Like that's what I mean. You could correct me if I'm wrong, Brett. Like, don't you guys always have like a start hard date, like October 1, no matter what day of the week it lands on?
Yeah.
See, like for us,
archery season,
yeah, for like archery season and stuff like that. So like for us, it's always that. I don't even know what the hell they go off of, because sometimes it's been September 29th, 28th, and now it's October 5th. Like it just kind of varies.
Yeah, I noticed around Halloween, you really want to start. You're going to start to see a little bit more action. You might see it happen, the peak rut kind of start to kick in, or the rut kick in at all. But eventually, once November 15th hit and the Orange Army comes out, if you don't have your tag by then, you're basically here in Michigan, you're just SOL.
Yeah.
It's like they're all going to get shot miles away and all this and that. And it's hard. And I'm just going to leave it at that.
Yeah.
The question from Outdoors and Squatch: Veterans Day here in New York, the rut is heavy.
It's good to know. I'll be hunting New York this year.
I do know I'm going to be going to New York soon, though, because Squatch, he's a good dude.
Nice.
Jeremy, wrapping up the show here again towards the end of it. But before we let you go, I got a couple rapid fire questions here I want to ask you, okay?
Let it rip, man.
All right, first one. You can only choose one. What weapon would you choose if the end of the world is here?
I'm going with, oh man, you're really putting me in a spot because archery's like I have my love and joy. I honestly, I'm taking my Weatherby 257. I love that gun. I love shooting it. My wife enjoys shooting that sucker, and that one I know if I hand her and I say shoot this, she would actually feel confident enough to shoot it. So we're going with my Weatherby 257.
Question 2. What has been your favorite state you've hunted, and what is the number one state you want to hunt that you haven't hunted yet?
I would say my favorite state is my home state of Pennsylvania. Again, I just love the adventure that it brings. You could really challenge. I feel like I could challenge myself every year with something new if I really wanted to, and just with the different terrain features that things like it has to offer. A state that I can't wait to get to is finally pulling an Iowa tag. I probably have it enough to pull it this year, but obviously with the baby and time off and everything like that, I don't have that. So hopefully next year it will be in the cards. But it's just to be able to say as a whitetail fanatic, I know guys want to have that adventure out west and do the elk hunt. Like I want to do that, but I would take a cool whitetail hunt over something like that every day of the week.
I agree with that myself. Yeah. Question 3. What animal is on your bucket list to hunt?
Honestly, I know it's probably because it's the flavor of the week for me right now. I really want to do like a backcountry bear hunt. Like I want to be able to like camp, really put in like work hard for it. Ricky Bruley from Stoker Eyes and Vapor Trail, he's done that one where he's up Minnesota at the Boundary Waters doing like that one crazy bear hunt, and that sounds really, really cool. Like, don't get me wrong, I do, like I said, I want to go do an elk hunt one day, but right now I have this fascination with like packing out a bear. I don't know why.
A black bear?
Yeah, black bear. Yeah, screw those grizzlies bears, man. I'm not dealing with any of those things. The brown bears. I just give me a black bear. They could still F me up, but I'm going with a black bear every day of the week.
To my answer to that, it's a grizzly with a bow.
Yeah.
It's a dream come true for that.
Yeah, dude. I just give me like 5 guides with me, then I'll do it. Like if I know one guy could shoot each limb and then like one person shooting it in the face while I shoot it in the heart, hopefully, like that's then I'm game, but as far as no thanks. After watching that video of that one dragging that black bear with such ease, it's like, no thanks. Don't even want to be in the area.
I remember that video.
Yeah, that daughter's like, look at that, Dad, as they're driving away. And it's like that grizzly's just mauling that black bear and just pulling it by its head up this hill, like with such ease, like just what we could do to a fly. It's crazy how strong they are.
That was like, I'm just roughly estimating. That's like a 500-pound bear. And he was carrying dead weight.
Yeah.
And an extra 200 pounds of that up the hill.
Just with ease, man. Like just literally with ease. Yeah. Freaky.
He's like carrying up a twig.
Yeah. Yeah. Here you go. Come on. It's like, oh my God. I saw that and that's when I was like, I don't want to do that.
Question 4. Is there anyone famous or in your life that you'd like to go on a hunt with one time?
Honestly, I'm dying to take my father on like a whitetail trip that just he has the chance to just shoot an absolute unit, like even just the slightest chance. I want to take him somewhere where he could have that chance. And then like it would be awesome like if we could do some sort of like either small game hunting or like duck hunting, like just something also on like a trip like that. But yeah, I would love to just just have him have that chance. That's what I would do. It'd be my dad, no doubt.
Question 6 kind of piggybacks off of that. If you could bring one person back from your family to hunt with, who would that be?
I would say my dad's Uncle Billy. Growing up, I've always heard these such amazing, hilarious stories about his Uncle Billy and how much he meant to my dad. I never had the opportunity to meet him. And he's the one that got my dad into hunting, because my grandfather, we would always go fishing. My grandfather was the fisherman. My grandfather never hunted. But his brother did. So my dad's Uncle Billy, and he's the one that introduced it to my father. And I just hearing how funny those stories were of him and just everything like that, he'd be 100% the individual that I would love to meet. Cause I just hearing his stories, I'm like, I feel like that's where I get it from. You know what I mean? Like there's certain things where for sure it's like, okay, I could see that,
That's a good one. Question 7. Wait, 6 out of 7. Sorry. What is one animal you want to eat? Oh man, I didn't word that correctly again. What is one animal you want to harvest that you want to eat?
Man, it would be cool to find everybody raves about access deer. I would love to finally, I don't care if I kill it in Texas or Hawaii. It would be cool in Hawaii to make it a family trip and enjoy that once in a lifetime trip, probably. But it would be cool to do a big access deer hunt and then finally be able to like try it, because everybody just says how amazing it is.
I know somebody that wants to try rhino.
Oh, okay. That's unique.
Very interesting.
Yeah, that's, my daughter would say that's neat. That's pretty neat.
All right. Question 7 here. Final one. What is one thing that you can think of that we as a hunting community could or should do to improve the hunting community as a whole?
Build up, man. Like build in a positive light. Just it, I get it. Like shit's funny. Like there's meme pages, there's all that stuff, and that's all good and fun. And you can't take yourself serious in life. But like, man, when I say I truly root for my friends, like I truly do. There's times where you could get on yourself about stuff like that, but man, like just pick each other up. Like we're still doing the same thing. We're getting up every day. We're putting on our socks and shoes and our pants and our shirt or jacket. We're going to work. There's so much other shit we got to get done and taken care of to provide for our families. The last thing we need to do is bust on someone for shooting a small buck or not killing a deer or all that other type of stuff. Like there's more to this than that. And for as much as I love it, of hunting and all that stuff, I feel like hopefully you surround yourself with good people and you're not in that world and you keep yourself out of it, because that's what I've done. But at the same time, it's like we need to build each other up than try to rip each other down.
I agree with that. And I know there's people out there that are scared or timid to post their deer online because of those type of people out there. And I always say, like, if you have a deer and you send it to us, we're going to post it on our social media page. And if anyone has anything bad to say, they got to go through me before they get to you, because I just think that's wrong. And I say this too, like, you don't know that person's background. Or anything like that. You don't know their background, their history, or experience when it comes to hunting. So how can you judge them? You have your hunting experience and where you're at in your own hunting career, life, whatever you want to say. Don't be quick to downplay somebody else, because now that could have been their second deer and they haven't been able to hunt in 5 years. And all they're trying to do is get back out in the woods. And they celebrated all this stuff without social media going around. They went out, tracked the deer. They had this amazing moment with their friends and family. They took a picture and were like, oh, yeah, I want other people to see this deer and see my excitement with it. Mm-hmm. Oh, man, why'd you shoot that deer? You're a fucking dumbass. That's a beautiful, that's a small deer. Well, you should let him grow. And they're just bashing them. Now you just tainted that whole experience. Yeah. Now what you could have probably done is take that person out hunting or off social media.
Yep. Yeah. I build each other up, man. Just, like Matt was on here earlier, Vital Grounds, and never had the chance to meet him in person, but I've talked to him on the phone and through text message and through social media and stuff like that. Like he goes out of his way to help people and for certain things. And like, that's who you want to be around. You know what I mean? Like that's the type of individual you want to surround yourself with. And it's just, we need more of that. Like I said, build each other up and root for each other and not, don't be a dick.
Exactly. Well, Jeremy, I just want to say thank you again for that statement there. And thank you again so much for coming on the show. I greatly appreciate it. I know everyone out there watching greatly appreciate it as well. For anyone that wants to follow along your journey on social media and reach out to you and know more about you or learn any more questions about PA, how can they do so?
Yeah, man. Honestly, just check out anything Antler Up Outdoors. Have the podcast that it drops every Wednesday. Been doing that now. This will be 5 years this January. It's crazy to think how fast that's gone. But Instagram is probably where I'm mostly active with information. And I love hearing stories, and I love talking deer hunting and all kinds of stuff. And especially like we didn't dive really down rabbit holes about archery. Man, I love the sport of archery, and I have so much respect for guys and girls that really try to do it for a living on a competitive side of things. It's just it's the way the brain works, and I have a lot of respect for them. So if you have any questions with that, don't hesitate to reach out to me. I appreciate your time, Brett, for having me on, and the people that were on here and commenting and asking questions. I greatly appreciate your time as well.
Oh, the Squatch there, he made a comment. Great show. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too, buddy.
Well, Jeremy, again, thank you so much. I hope you have a good rest of your night. We definitely have to stay in touch, and I hope you have good luck with your hunting season coming up, man.
You all as well.
Thanks, man. We'll talk to you later, brother.
Sounds good.
See ya. Oh, man, what an amazing guy. Down-to-earth guy. I could feel like I can just sit around a campfire and just crack a beer, and just next thing I know, oh, it's 5 o'clock in the morning. I'm not even tired. Let's continue to talk or something like that. No, what an amazing guy. I love talking to him. I wish I could have more time to pick his brain, but yeah. I just want to say thank you to everyone that's tuned in for tonight's show. I greatly appreciate it. Thank you, Jeremy, again for coming on the show. I greatly appreciate it. I will make a couple announcements here. Starting after Thursday's show, we're going to be taking next week off because we're going to be starting our hunting season. And like I said, we're going to be taking October through December off, but what we're going to be doing is a show on Sundays around 8:30 p.m. I think that's the time we established as, and we might bring a guest on. We might not, it might just be a team. We don't know. It's just going to be a roundtable type of conversation. And then once the hunting season comes to an end, we're going to pick the shows back up on Tuesdays and on Sundays and Tuesdays, but we'll get more into that later. I just want to say thank you again to everyone that's reached out for tonight's show. Make sure to use the code GP10 to get 10% discount off Gilly Puck products. Make sure to go check out MAGNUS BROADHEADS and Grizz Media, because I'm excited to work with Jesse here in the next couple of months. And with that being said, make sure you put your cord in the slot machine. We'll see everyone on Thursday.
Thank you for tuning in to another episode of the Whitetail Advantage Podcast. We hope you enjoyed the show, and we will see you next time.